Russia's largest oil refinery was operating exactly as it had for decades. The Gazprom Neft refinery in Omsk was processing crude oil, producing fuel, and helping keep much of Siberia moving. Located roughly 2,500 kilometers from Ukraine, Omsk appeared to be protected by something stronger than any missile system: distance. No Ukrainian soldier was anywhere nearby. No major air defense network surrounded the refinery, and only a small security team and a radar screen watched over the site. But while Omsk slept, several small objects had already been traveling toward it for nearly 18 hours. They were slow, low-flying Ukrainian FP-1 drones, reportedly launched from eastern Ukraine, with their computers programmed to guide them toward the precise coordinates of the refinery's most important processing units. They crossed forests, fields, towns, and enormous stretches of Russian territory, and for most of their journey, nobody stopped them. This exposed one of Russia's greatest defensive problems. Russia is the largest country in the world, stretching across 11 time zones. It can defend Moscow, St. Petersburg, military bases, and the Ukrainian front, but it cannot place an air defense system beside every industrial facility, forest, or railway line. For years, Siberia had relied on geography as its shield, but that shield was now being tested. As the drones approached the Ural region, a Pantsir S-1 operator near Tizan detected several weak radar echoes. They appeared and disappeared, almost like birds or electronic interference. At first, they did not look dangerous, but then one of the objects changed direction with machine-like precision. The Pantsir operator opened fire, and a 57E-6 missile raced into the sky before destroying one of the drones in an orange flash. However, the remaining aircraft continued flying east. The operator immediately reported the threat, meaning Russian commanders now knew that unidentified drones had crossed the Urals and were heading deeper into Siberia. They had almost 10 hours to respond.
Russian officers then made a calculation that appeared completely logical. The drone recovered near Kazan was identified as an FP-1, a low-cost Ukrainian long-range strike drone. Its known maximum range was believed to be around 1,600 kilometers. Omsk was approximately 2,500 kilometers from Ukraine, and the drone's indirect flight path may have been closer to 3,000 kilometers. According to the official numbers, they could not possibly reach the refinery. Russian commanders therefore believed that the drones would eventually run out of fuel and crash somewhere over the Siberian steppe. Their calculation was correct, but their information was not. The drones flying towards Omsk reportedly carried a major modification. Instead of using the older, narrow wing, they had a redesigned trapezoidal wing that also functioned as an additional fuel tank. The structure keeping the aircraft in the air was now also carrying the fuel needed to extend its mission. Some analysts have described this version as the FP-1 extended range, and according to the supplied account, its range may have increased to approximately 3,400 kilometers. Suddenly, Omsk was no longer unreachable. As drones traveled further east, Russian radar coverage became increasingly limited. Operators received occasional warnings, but they could not maintain a reliable track. Eventually, Moscow realized that the drones might actually reach their target. Russia searched for an air defense battery that could be moved into position, but there was none close enough. Moscow therefore reportedly sent some of the most advanced aircraft in its inventory, an A-50U airborne early warning aircraft and a Su-57 fifth-generation fighter. Think about that for a moment. Russia was reportedly using one of its rarest radar aircraft and its most advanced stealth fighter to hunt slow-moving drones made partly from plywood. On paper, the interception should have been simple. The A-50U would locate the drones, the Su-57 would approach at several times their speed, and one missile launch would end the threat. But the mission quickly became far more complicated.
FP-1 drones were flying extremely low and moving at only around 160 kilometers per hour. Radar systems operating over land must filter out slow-moving objects to prevent forests, buildings, hills, and ground vehicles from filling the screen. Because the drones were slow and close to the terrain, they could reportedly blend into the radar background. Russia's airborne radar could search the area, but it struggled to produce a clear and continuous target. The Su-57 was then forced to descend and search visually with its electro-optical sensors. That created another problem. A Su-57 cannot safely fly beside a drone moving at only 160 kilometers per hour. The fighter must maintain a much higher minimum speed to remain airborne. It could not simply slow down, match the drone's speed, and fire. Instead, the pilot had only a few seconds during each high-speed pass to detect the drone, identify it, achieve a missile lock, and launch. Even the missile faced difficulties. The R-73 is an infrared-guided weapon designed to track the heat of aircraft engines. But the FP-1 uses a small two-cylinder engine with a relatively weak heat signature. Over sun-heated Siberian terrain, the drone's engine could be extremely difficult to separate from the background. According to the account, the Su-57 successfully destroyed one drone, but it did not find the rest. After almost 18 hours of flight, the surviving drones reached Omsk, and this is where the operation became even more significant. They did not focus on the refinery's enormous storage tanks. Storage tanks burn dramatically, but they can eventually be replaced or refilled. Instead, the drones reportedly targeted the narrow steel structures at the center of the refinery, the primary distillation units. A storage tank is the pantry, but a distillation unit is the kitchen. Without the kitchen, the stored crude oil cannot be transformed into usable fuel.
One drone reportedly struck the ELO AVT-11 unit, one of the refinery's largest processing facilities. Its explosive warhead opened the structure while crude oil inside was being processed at extremely high temperatures. The refinery did not need an external flame. The heat, pressure, and combustible material inside the unit reportedly created the conditions for a major fire. Other drones struck nearby pipe networks and processing infrastructure, allowing the damage to spread toward the AVT-10 unit. According to the supplied account, satellite imagery later showed multiple impact points and major heat signatures around the refinery. Together, the two damaged units were responsible for a large share of Omsk's refining capacity. The refinery processes approximately 22 million tons of crude oil every year, so disrupting its largest distillation units could affect not only local fuel production, but also Russia's wider energy and logistics system. However, the most serious impact may go beyond gasoline and diesel. Omsk is also described as a critical producer of cracking catalysts, specialized materials required by other refineries to convert heavy petroleum into valuable fuels. That means damage at Omsk could potentially create problems at facilities located hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away. One successful strike could produce a chain reaction across the wider refining network. For years, Russia's enormous geography provided strategic protection. The deeper an industrial facility was located inside the country, the safer it appeared to be. But this operation may have changed that calculation.
A relatively inexpensive drone, built using simple materials and carrying additional fuel inside its redesigned wing, reportedly crossed almost 3,000 kilometers of Russian territory. Russia received warnings, launched advanced aircraft, and used expensive missiles, yet several drones allegedly reached one of the most important energy facilities in the country. The message is bigger than the damage at one refinery. If long-range drones can reach Omsk, then distance alone may no longer protect Russia's strategic infrastructure. Air bases, ammunition factories, railway hubs, and energy facilities that once appeared safely beyond the battlefield may now be within range. The age of geography as an automatic defense may be ending. What do you think? Was the Omsk strike a one-time breakthrough, or are we witnessing a major change in long-range drone warfare? Share your opinion in the comments. For more detailed aviation, military technology, and defense analysis, like this video, subscribe to Skyjet Wings and turn on notifications so you never miss our next report. This is Skyjet Wings. Over and out.